It's a daily talk show, and we're in Los Angeles.
And we've got special guests. We've intruded your house.
Alex Ikonn and Mimi Ikonn. Thank
Hi,
you
guys.
for being here.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
guys.
having us.
It's our pleasure.
So, Airbnbs, is this just like part of your lifestyle?
Airbnb places.
If there's one company that should sponsor us, is Airbnb. Because all the time when we travel, as you guys probably see, everyone asks us the first, is this an Airbnb? Can you send me a link? I'm
Can you send me the address of this
I'm like,
place?
I'm not sending you a link because we stay for a long time. I'm not gonna expose myself like where we're staying. But we can get into it. But Airbnb is not the only service. We actually use a whole variety of services. However, in the future there's definitely an Ikonn Travels where we're gonna probably have houses all around the world to rent out to people or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like there's so many things that you're doing, and so there's all these opportunities. So the Positano example, you create
We have a hotel there too.
yeah, so you do a travel guide. Is the intention that when you go there, we're going to do this, or are you just traveling around and then it just sort of comes out?
I'd say it's just about traveling and doing it mindfully, obviously, like going to places that are better than the status quo. Like that's what we're always looking for, not to just have a touristic experience, but to go to really local, cool spots. And then once you know all of that, like what's the point of just keeping it to yourself? Like if you know you can make somebody's experience, like once when we were in Positano, we were at this cafe and like this couple came up to us and they're like, literally we just ordered what you put in your guide. They had like almond milk cappuccino and like whatever like eggs that I ordered, I can't remember anymore, but like they had the same exact experience and they went to all these places that we went to. So it just makes me feel so happy that people can have a great experience as opposed to like those tourist traps that are in all of these very popular destinations.
And the thing is, what I want to add on to that is like even Positano, it's now the influencer central. And when Mimi says, hey, like we went to Positano like 12 years ago. Before it was like Instagram, before there was there's people all there just taking pictures. So what we love to do is just be able to discover places. And then we do travel currently like more pop, I guess, culture kind of places. But it's still in the way of what we love to do is really providing people that experience. What we know ourselves is that, as Mimi said,
it's curated.
You can go to these major cities, LA, New York, Paris, and hate it. Yeah. Right? It's because it's a big, and people go like, why do you go to the same places? Like, do you know, like you can be going to Paris or even living in Paris and you still won't know all the cool spots. There's just so much to offer. And what we just like to give for ourselves, and this is like, I love to really dive in and do a lot of research, like for all of our trips.
Yeah, he spends so
and
much time.
for like all of our friends and all of our family, like we really create curated experience. And that's because like we have very high standards. Just when you start traveling the world and seeing lots of places and staying in a lot of places and having also the financial freedom to like try a lot of places, you also will end up going to a lot of bad places. And the thing is, for me to spend $150, $200 and have a bad experience, it's okay. But for somebody else who has earned their hard-earned money, has been saving their whole year for that, like I don't want them to have that experience and go to like some place that's supposed to have 5 stars and is actually crap because it's just like an Instagram hole. There's like, that's what part of it.
I think we've worked out in the States the warning sign of a bad restaurant or somewhere where you're going to get pretty average food. It's the amount of things on the menu. So you got 7 pages of food.
Of course.
That's a warning sign. Is there any other sort of telltale signs of somewhere, a location, even if it like doesn't seem to be flooded by mainstream, just everybody? Is there a warning sign?
I think location, like if it's usually on a main street, it's not good.
Yeah.
It has to be like a little hidden. It has to have no sign. Like all the cool places are very much a hole in the wall kind of places. And then you walk in there and it's like a whole different world. And that's what people like. I think most people, when you have high expectations and you go to a place, you judge it differently rather than when you go to a place and you're like, this is really shady, and you walk in. Like there's a bakery here in Venice called Justa. Have you guys been?
No.
Literally,
Amazing.
it has no sign. Like I was Google mapping it and I got there. I'm like, where is this place? There's no sign. You walk in and it's massive. They bake their all their croissants and breads and everything there. Like it's beautiful, full of people. Like there's such an amazing buzz. So places like that are really cool.
Well, I think
that we appreciate.
I mean, you start a business, and you obviously people want their business to become successful. And you could look at these places on the main street or things that become really popular as they've achieved a level of success. I mean, for you guys, you've had a bunch of different businesses. Is the aim to not have it become super mainstream or uber popular? Are you trying to create a boutique experience?
Or how can you create, like say with Luxy Hair, how do you create a brand that is respected but also makes a bunch of cash?
You have to stick to your values. I think that's the most important thing, is that as you grow, if you compromise on your values and the main basic philosophy of what built you as a company, and that's what a lot of businesses do. Once they grow and they have to scale, they kind of cut the corners and they start compromising on their products, service, etc. But if you do that, that's a whole different business. And that's what happens to many of these great restaurants, or even some of the fashion brands that like start out really cool, and then once they go mass, and it's just not the same, right? So we never want to be in that position.
I think it's understandable, but we also haven't been in those positions where we really scaled mass. I think the opportunity that exists for a lot of us, anybody who's watching this or listening to this, or even you guys, is that we live in a world right now, and this is what we realized when we first started our first business. And Tim Ferriss and the 4-Hour Workweek was really that, I think it's a bestseller to this day. It's really that gateway to changing your mindset, that the idea of how we work in our careers is now different. It doesn't have to be that way of 9 to 5, you work in corporate and you move up the corporate ladder, and then you have this lifestyle and you retire and you get a BMW and you get fat. That's kind of what he talks about. And in reality is that now,
it can be a Tesla.
And you get even more fat.
I know. I think now, even like ourselves, one of the examples I always talk about is I can financially pretty much buy any car I want. I can buy a Lamborghini or whatever, but I choose to ride like a ride share bicycle in London. And to me, I really enjoy that.
Even with a wet seat, I've seen.
Yeah. Even when, it's raining, I'll come with my sweater, wipe it with my hand.
He really does.
And we'll still bike in the rain. I'll really be sad if I can't. I have a change of pants in the office just in case. But what I'm trying to say is that that idea of really designing, and that's what Tim really introduced a lot of people, is how do we as individuals now with the internet technology can now design our lives, and to be able to build these businesses that can potentially support us and create a lifestyle for ourselves, but also for other people. So with our first business was really the intention just to create a lifestyle business. Our goal was just to make $1,500 a month. We didn't have really big goals to make a big business or anything like that. And then we really just got into it, into the whole business, entrepreneurship. And I think today, more than ever, it is so easy to create a business. And especially if you follow really these rules, not rules, but to a certain say guidelines to how, because the benchmark is actually fairly low in the world for business. And that's what Mimi and I, we're discovering more and more. We actually have very high standards, and a lot of people appreciate the high standards, but they actually don't have them. So if you as a business bring something that delivers more value to their customer, you will win. It will just take some time, but once enough people discover you, you will get that audience. It will just start to build up. But you have to have that vision and also system to realize how does just basics of business work, meaning supply and demand, market, product, branding, all that stuff, and then be able to scale. So even our businesses, they're very simple. They're not complex businesses. They're not like major businesses. And the reason they're like that is just because we prioritize our own lifestyle. So we could have, with our previous business, Luxy Hair, or even with Intelligent Change, they could have been 10x of businesses that they are now. However, for ourselves, we find that we would then sacrifice our life. And it's fine, but we just, and even being here in LA or America, that's, I quickly talked to you about it, guys. That's what I think happens to a lot of people. They go extreme. They're like, we have to take over the world and be the richest and the biggest and all that stuff. And then in time, you lose your life. You can literally lose your life. You can lose your family, your time, where we really believe you can balance out both. Yes, there's times where you hustle and you almost burn out, but you don't have to keep doing that.
Because Yeah, I mean, we hear so many stories. Like, that's quite self-aware, right? To be in the moment thinking that, because the amount of success stories that end, it's a crucible moment where they've made all this money and now they need to find the opposite. But then they have the financial means to support the search for the other. It sounds like you were self-aware in the moment and had the filter on, how do we create the life? What is that filter? How did you put that lens on?
I think in our first year that we started Luxy Hair, we were very lucky because we made $1 million. Like, that was never the expectations, as Alex just mentioned.
Revenue, not like cash in the bank. I always have to remind
like,
us.
almost never happens, right? And we have really great margins with that business. So, to me, it was very clear right away that I can have pretty much anything I want financially. Like, I can buy any bag I want, shoes, travel anywhere, but like, it's not what makes me happy. And I feel like a lot of people, it will take them longer, maybe because people are different, you know. So once I became aware of that, I was kind of like on a soul search of what it is that I want to do in life that is meaningful to me every day. And it took Alex a few more years, like, get a certain number in the bank account and buy a certain car. But
what car was it?
It was actually the same car we have in the garage right now. It's just a white BMW convertible.
Yeah, nothing too crazy.
But nothing too crazy. But
you were on the way to being the fat guy.
That was my goal. But
Mimi said, get on the bike.
and then you just kind of learn and you get off it.
Yeah,
So
but
how
like
did
2-3 years into the business, we both realized, okay, money is not what's going to make us happy. It's great that we realize that now, because both of us don't come from, from the wealthy families. We had very little when we grew up. So we always had this idea that once we have the money, we're going to make it in life, right? So we get the money.
It's the American dream.
We don't feel that way. We actually, I felt really depressed and lost and anxious. And I realized, okay, this is not what life is about. So what is it about? And then it took me another year or two to figure that out through, going on meditation retreats and just spending a lot of time self-reflecting and realizing that, looking back on my life and looking at my life and when I was actually happy. And it was actually in moments of struggle, in those moments where I might not have had a lot financially, but I was helping. I felt like I was useful in this world. And for Alex, it was, you can tell about your experience.
I think just really looking things from a perspective of, you have to, one of your questions was like, how do you really see to that future? How do you have that awareness? And you have to go through that experience.
Sometimes
you have to, like, as we did, we're as everybody, especially in North America, like, when you come here, I don't know if you guys feel it, like, we're in LA right now, it's like the epitome of American dream, meaning people are come out here to LA all over the world to make it. And what does that make it? Whether it be become a star or become rich and famous and all is this dream. But in the reality, this dream that was created here in Hollywood is false. And you can see how many people who even here in this city achieve this dream
and
live it and are super unhappy, but yet they can't admit it to themselves and they keep on this treadmill like, well, I should keep going, right? And they keep going. Maybe I need a jet. Maybe I need a bigger house. Maybe I need a bigger car. And it's like, and just more. And I think it's creeping all over the world. It's very contagious, this style. But in reality, I think having also that balance of now living in Europe, something we talked about, is like there is that a finer balance of and not just being so loud about wanting things, but actually just being simple and appreciating life. And really, if you are, I guess, for ourselves and honest with yourself, the question that I asked myself at that time when we were like kind of in between, you kind of like made it, you're financially free, you thought this was gonna give you all this happiness. You have to really be honest, and we asked ourselves a question of, when was the last time I was genuinely happy? Right? Not what society thinks, like, if I do this, then I'll be happy. If I have this money in the bank, then I'll be happy. This dream, or if I have this,
it's a fake dream.
Is there guilt? Because I guess you get to a position.
I never felt guilty for having any of it. It just really felt empty. Like, for me, it's about sharing the experiences with other people. Like, what's the point of having it all just for yourself? Like, I don't know. For me.
So how do you become aligned within your values?
I think
then you reevaluate your values and you really put it in
as
hierarchy.
a couple. Did you find that was something
first,
that you
personally, and then as a couple, because that's important, because like you're building life together. But the values, your first 5 to 10 values, this is the most important thing in your life, right?
What are
People
your
do that for
values?
their businesses, but what are your values?
Yeah, what are your
Well, some
values?
of them that I can tell you, like one
Yeah.
of the highest one is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so that's why the businesses that we build are based on that we have flexibility of freedom to travel, be with each other, spend time with our child, family, friends. Like I never want to be the slave to my business, because you can be a slave to your business just like you would be to a corporate job, right? So every decision we make has to be aligned with all of our primary values.
Gratitude is another one. Like in
Mm-hmm.
terms of like a value, like I think why it's so important to us even to be grateful, and we have, you know, created products around that, is that we really see that appreciation, like whether it be even ourselves and people around us, when we appreciate ourselves, you know, but we also appreciate other people in our lives, it just feels better. Like, you know, like I just feel, you know, especially when you have friends, and I think we're always, as people, trying to do good, whether it be in a relationship, or you as a father or a mother, or just as a friend, just being there, supporting things. And if somebody just shows their appreciation, says that, you know, like, hey Josh, or, you know, Tom, thank you for just being my friend and for hanging out with me and bringing this out to me, right away you just feel better.
And you want to do more.
You want to do more,
right?
you feel appreciated. Like if for all the, you know, even the staff we had, one of the, you know, as you interview people, you always ask like, why did you leave that job? And one of the, I'll say the most answers that we get is like, I didn't feel appreciated. You know, they can be getting paid well, they can be in a great organization, but if they're not appreciative, or someone's not being grateful to them, then they want to leave. So those are like some of the values, but it really just comes down to the basics of your life, and really questioning, you know, being really on, like what I'm trying to get to with you guys and anybody really listening is that don't care what other people think. You know, like I think so many of us, because we're social animals and social creatures, we're conditioned to care what, you know, what your community is going to say, what your family is going to say, what your friends are going to say. And you have to be honest with yourself. Like, how does it feel to you? For example, I'll give you one example. I proposed to Mimi when we're broke, unemployed,
early 20s.
Early 20s. I was 21. All my friends thought literally they're like, what the hell are you doing? This is stupid. You have all your 20s.
I think
like,
Mimi's great.
yeah, but like, you know, they were just that was kind of what they wanted to communicate, is that like, you're making a mistake. Yeah. And I'm like, am I making a mistake? And a lot of times our parents can talk us out of stuff, even though like taking that leap into entrepreneurship, or being in a relationship, or even hanging around with certain friends. But you have to ask yourself, do I feel this is the right decision? And for me, for example, let's say even proposing to Mimi and committing so early was the best decision I've ever made. Us also not going back to corporate and starting a business, making that leap, trying to create a lifestyle business. I had conversations with serious business people and entrepreneurs who literally laughed at me and said, this is not possible for you to be on the beach while you make money. Like, that's a hype dream. And you know, and the same thing even now, like, right, hey, you guys saw us on Gary Vee, and Gary Vee will say the same thing, because you have to hustle your brain off. I totally get it.
Not black and white.
But however, we believe that there's a once you expand your mindset, and this is not like a secret, affirmations, all that stuff. Those things work, but it's constructive where you can balance out. It's important to expand your mindset and create a bigger vision for yourself. And the way you do that is become self-aware with yourself. Because what we believe in is that, and this is what I've learned, you know, you have a child as well. Like when our daughter was born, Alexa, first day, and now she's 3 years old, I can tell you she's the same person. Like, you can sense that there's a certain amount of soul in that, in all of us, and that just exists. You hear, like, everyone who's listening, who's watching, you have your own journey, and no one's gonna like. I can't tell you what you need to do. Like, you can't tell what other people need to do. Everyone has to go through their own journey and they have to question themselves of what feels right to them.
I try to tell my son what to do, and he doesn't have a bar of it. No.
Yeah. Well, I guess what we're trying to say is like why we feel really passionate about this is that we really believe that if once you align to, like as Mimi said, your values and your kind of inner calling, because like what feels good, and I think that's the whole idea is also exploring. Even with us, for example, you said with traveling, one of the reasons why we travel so much and do create bases for ourselves, like we still haven't figured out where we're going to live. Yeah. To be honest.
Does it feel like because I've got a mate who's got a couple of different citizenships or whatever.
Amazing.
And it creates a lot of pressure for him because he's like, where do I want to live?
Yeah.
And one day he'll be like,
it's actually harder.
Yeah. And so have you found that? Is trying to work out where to live? Like he'll go to Barcelona and we're meant to be just going there for a trip and he's like, okay, I'm checking out a few apartments because I might move here. Does it get a bit like that?
Yeah, we're very much like that.
And I think...
because we're very privileged, obviously, to have that kind of life now. I don't come from that, Like for the first 16 years of my life, I didn't even get on an airplane. So to me, this truly is a dream come true to be in a place like that. But also you realize... world is quite small, in a way you won't be aligned with every place in the world and you're not going to have a desire to go live everywhere, but there will be a certain places that sort of speak to who you are as an individual where you can see yourself living. So,
and what I want to add on to that is really it's the expanding your mind. I think even let's say maybe your friend, the idea that you don't have to be a billionaire or even a millionaire to even think like that. I think the world that we're now entering, that is more global, where technology enables, people will listen to this all over the world. And also with commerce, you can really do it all over the world, and that you don't need to be in a certain place. You don't even need to have an office in a certain place. You can operate, through distributed team, and with that, once you expand your mindset to think bigger, and that you can also have these opportunities, and that you can be a digital nomad living in Bali and traveling the world and only making 40-50 grand a year. That's possible now. You can have even, and it's not even like you don't even have to be an entrepreneur. You can still be a freelancer and be able to do that. And it's just that ability to shift your mindset that, hey, you don't have to be stuck in Oklahoma somewhere in a small town, and that's where you're born. That's where you have to be the whole life. And this is the beauty of the world that we're entering. And then I guess also the challenge of this time is that to be able to expand your mindset and be free. And not everyone has that choice. I think but at the same time, a lot of people in places like Australia or US or Europe or Canada, they, especially here in the US, I think they really don't value what their US passport or any of these countries that I've listed, their passport that allows you, like, if you're in Syria, you can't leave. Where we come from, I'm from Russia, Mimi's from Azerbaijan. Our passport, you can't, unless you get like a visa approval, you can't, like, I can, with our Canadian passport, I just show up here. Like literally I just show up.
You
I'm like, hey, I want to be here.
It's the same with Australia.
Exactly.
Well, I remember Neil Strauss has a book, Emergency, and he talks all about like what the billionaires do with passports.
So what do they do?
I just got obsessed with like, I applied for a green card did the green card lottery and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, they have multiple.
Yeah, but the thing is that it was like, I look back, I was like 21 at the time, and the main reason was, talking about consumerism, was Australia didn't have Amazon Prime yet. I realised that that's not really a reason to move country.
Now
Australia has Amazon Prime.
Now has Amazon.
It's a little bit shitty, but they still have it. They're working
it's a big
on
country.
It. Yeah. Do you guys, when you come to different countries, do you don different masks, or do you feel like you're actually different as people when 100%. You're entering?
100%. Every place you go to has an impact on you. Like when we go to Paris, I feel like dressing differently and ordering different things. And like, I don't know, it's just like you feel different. Yeah. And that's the incredible thing about traveling, is that it changes something inside of you. And once you leave that place, you're just never the same person. And I think that's the biggest gift you get from traveling. It just expands your mind. It makes you feel more connected to other human beings who are living in this other country, who speak different languages, had a different upbringing, but yet you have like some sort of a connection, because we're all the same humans, so yeah, for me it's truly like the best way to spend time is to go and visit new places.
I think the curse of comparison is real for a lot of people, and I think it'd be true to say that people with less might even have it even more than others.
Absolutely,
Oh, 100%.
When we went to Nepal years ago, I'll never forget. We went to this like little village in like near Chitwan, their national park, and like people were so happy. They're living in little huts with literally like no windows, no door, whole family in this tiny little house, like it's basically a room, but so happy and smiling, like genuine smiles. No shoes on these kids' feet, but they don't know it. Like they don't know any better. So. Because they're not comparing, they're happy.
And this is also like, it was the first time I've actually come across, it's probably more rare now, where you, let's say you want to take a picture of somebody and you can see they actually never been faced with a camera.
Wow.
And like they have this genuine expression. It's like mind blowing. That's why
when you say
they're not posing. Like
when you say cheese, what happens?
They
just have that real human.
It's like presence.
Yeah.
And I think now it's probably disappearing. It's even Nepal is probably hard now because a lot of people do travel to Nepal now. This was some time ago, and it was a very remote place. But that's the beauty of just the world and travel and everything that has to bring. But I think to also add on to what you were saying about, I think we come from Soviet Union, both Mimi and myself. It used to be a big in a place, and people around the world think this is
former Soviet Union.
Former Soviet, but people would judge this place as well as this cold place and all that stuff. In reality, I look at my childhood where we literally, there wasn't a lot of options. You don't have options for clothing or comparison. It's like you have those same shoes and the same candy and a very limited choice, and maybe you have like oranges for Christmas, and if you're lucky maybe you'll have a banana someday, and I literally remember when Western candies like Snickers came, and me and my family would split one Snickers into 4 pieces.
Yeah, we did the same.
And over like tea or something like that, and we'd be so happy, like, oh my God, I'm having this Snickers, this is amazing. And it's like now you can buy a Snickers that it won't give me the same happiness.
How many Snickers do you have in the fridge?
None.
But all the sugar anymore.
But what I'm trying to say is that I remember those times, and part of being content is that there is less of that comparison. And like our favorite quote that we always talk about, comparison is the thief of joy. And this is why it's important to have that self-awareness and to understand, like, it's okay understand that we live in a consumerist system and how we've evolved. Like, one of our favorite books of all time is Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari, because I think that book is important for everyone to read, because it will help you understand how we as humans got to this point now. Because a lot of us don't really comprehend and understand, like, how did we, like monkeys, evolve to this state where we're now, comparing ourselves, taking pictures of our Instagram, talking to some devices here, filming ourselves with cameras.
500 episodes plus.
How did we evolve like that?
But at the core of everything, we're still human, and we're these social animals who want to bond,
it's
who
so
want to
weird,
create.
isn't it? It's like
weird existence.
Like, if you think about it, it's like space. If I think about it too much, I freak out a bit.
It just like starts overwhelming you a bit.
So content consumption then.
Yeah.
What you consume, I guess, can start to dictate how you feel.
Major.
Do you find that you go in and out of the types of content? So obviously, I feel like everyone goes through like that Gary Vee thing of like the early days, and then you sort of like you get it and you understand it. It's like, okay, I need something else now. What are you consuming in 2019?
Very little, to be honest. Like, I'm very mindful about what I consume because I'm very hands-on with raising my daughter. I have very little time, and the time that I have, I'm usually creating. So when it comes to consumption, it's basically, I consume a little bit through Instagram, but I'm barely ever on YouTube, to be honest. It's just longer content. I don't have time for it right now.
I heard you say on your podcast that it could be it's the addiction the opposite way, the addiction to checking your feed, but then the addiction to creating and putting out.
Yeah, that's true. I'm more addicted to the creating.
You didn't really expand on that because you were focusing on the addiction.
Yeah, because most people cannot relate to what I have a problem with. Not a problem, I don't see it as a problem.
No, we can relate. And so do you think it's as detrimental if you're just hell-bent on creating?
Yeah, because then you're not present, right? You're constantly thinking, I can be honest about the fact that I do this, like, oh my God, what am I going to create next? What do I need to share next? It's like this inner drive. I truly enjoy it. And I feel like it gives me purpose to know that I can share something with my audience that can make them smile, can teach them something, maybe a recipe, maybe I show them a new place, maybe I share a quote. But it makes me feel good knowing that I can share something.
So is it external?
So it is addicting to do that.
But then I think, is it external pressure or people saying that you're creating too much, or is it internal?
Internal.
Okay.
No, it's internal, because I always question myself, and I want to make sure that it's not from a place of an addiction, where I can go, let's say, what I've implemented recently, like for the last 2 months, is I have one day where I don't post anything. 24 hours, I don't check anything. I don't post anything.
How do you feel?
I feel great. I feel amazing. I feel so much more present that day. Like, I don't have that rush, like, because it's like a certain type of adrenaline probably that's constantly going through your blood, where you're thinking, like, you're looking out for content, whether you realize it or not.
Hunting.
You're like, oh, this would look good. Or like, I want to share this. Like, this can be helpful, right?
And so Alex, do you notice how different Mimi is on those days? From a partner point of view?
He's the consumer, so he's in
you're managing Mimi's social media.
Exactly.
I'm trying to convince him to... no, nobody's posting. That day, like, literally, it's quiet for 24 hours. Just...
It's been quiet on my feed. It's 24 hours. But
he doesn't have that problem.
I don't have the problem of
He's
creating.
more of a consumer, I would say.
I would say, so in terms of, to answer your question of what am I consuming now, is that, you know, the only sponsor that we do is Audible, and I'm really grateful that they sponsored us. Is because I love audiobooks, you know, and the reason, even, you know, people might be thinking, how do these guys know so much, or the things they talk about? It's not like these are our ideas, you know. None of the things that you really know are your own. It's all passed on. It's all the things that we learn from. And I think we live in an incredible time. It just, like, you can waste a lot of your time, but you can also really grow as an individual and can really enrich your life by expanding your mind with some of the greatest minds out there. And this is why I said, like, a book like Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari, like, it's just incredible. Or even something a little different, it can be, let's say, Alchemist, right, by Paulo Coelho, like a different book. Or Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. Like, very different books. I'm naming some of the names that, you know, these are some of our favorite audiobooks and books that has allowed us to think differently. Because the power of content, even like this podcast, is that it can change somebody's life by changing their perspective. And this is why we always focus on mindset, because once your mind grows, it can't go contract back to the same place. Like, once you gain awareness and you start thinking differently, it's hard for you to go back into a box.
Whenever I'm watching you, Mimi, on social media, I'm always craving fruit. You always have the freshest fruit. You've got a way of describing, like, this peach. You got to taste this peach. I'm on the beach and this peach is amazing. I'm like, I need one of those peaches.
That's rap. Are you rapping?
It's interesting. The simplest things are the best things, you know? Like,
or maybe we take them for granted because we're not thinking about what the peach tastes like.
Yeah.
I want a peach right now, actually.
Yeah, no, it's... what's the fruit like in the US, do you think?
I think European fruit are the best.
That's
all I'm going to say. Like, specifically Spain, Italy, Portugal, like, everything grows there, you know. It's amazing.
Alex, we were talking before the podcast started about our commitment to creating content, which is 7 days a week. We put out 7 episodes of the podcast. We at least have a couple of days off. We pre-record a few for the weekend. But you have a counter thought to what we do around
#pushback.
#pushback.
Yeah.
You know, I just think right now what you're doing isn't per se wrong, right? I think
here we go.
And that's what I was to connect to what I was saying earlier, is that we're all on our own individual journey. You got to do what you got to do, and most importantly, what you feel is the right thing to do. If there's an inner drive that's calling you to make content for the next 10 years for every single day, and we have
the domain name thedailytalkshow.com as well. So we're sort of
that's fine. There's daily talk shows, but they give me 5 days a week. You know, it's what days they're on.
That's what my girlfriend says, actually. What's the difference between 5 and 7?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just so number one, always don't listen to anybody else. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Mimi. Don't listen to anybody. Honestly, you you can still listen, be open to what they're saying, but in regards to then absorbing it to yourself and thinking, does this apply to me? Is this something that I can take away and learn from? And that's another thing that I really want to encourage a lot of people, listening or watching this right now, is that, people are, especially now, this whole woke movement and things like that. It's like, things are not black and white, right? No one is perfect, right? Like, it's very important to understand that no book you're going to read, no person you're going to listen to is perfect. And however, there's always things you can take away for yourself from certain individuals, the good and the bad. So this is how we learn. Like, let's say Tony Robbins. People say, oh, he had this article come out about how he's whatever did to these women. Whoever created that, I take from that individual, there's certain things that I've learned from him that has allowed me to become a better person. For example, practicing gratitude in the morning, right? That practice by itself has allowed us to then move on to create a product like the 5-minute journal, right? That was one of the main inspirations. So people can talk bad all they want about a certain individual, but like I said, no one is perfect, and there's something good you can take away from those individuals. So for yourselves as well, as you guys, explore whatever avenues, I think the most important thing is really, as you're working, is figuring out what works, what doesn't, and then really counterbalancing. Like, look at Casey Neistat. He's become who he is because of his daily vlogs. Now that he's made it and he's sold one of his companies and he's financially free, he's now actually trying to do less and doing more. And it's great that he's actually having that awareness to actually think of, like, is this actually productive for me to just keep going at that same pace as I keep going?
It's getting off the hamster wheel.
Yeah. So for you yourselves, like, maybe you do have to go through this experience
for a period of time.
Like, the same thing. It's like, it's not like, when people listen to this, maybe, it was all easy for them. No, there's periods, of course, where, like, when we worked from morning till night and till even 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, all that stuff. I remember those days, and they were glorious. Yeah. Like, I to be honest, if I can tell you, even in those period after when we kind of made it, and we asked ourselves the question, when was the last time I was genuinely happy? When I was broke on the come up, making it, like really grinding. That was the most important thing. So even now, like, having that opportunity, like, last year we sold one of our businesses. We now have an opportunity. We bought out our business partner from our Intelligent Change business. We have full control of that business, and we're excited to grow that team again, grow that business again, to create again. Just for that opportunity of that journey of really creating something. And I'm really connected to even you guys, is that's the most beautiful thing, is follow your, it's cliche to say passions, but your interests, and follow whatever is calling you, whatever that feels right. If you're doing something that you have resistance towards and it's making you literally sick maybe, and it's not healthy, then you should really readjust your life. However, if you're doing this daily thing and you're fired up and you're excited because you get to meet other people, you get to interact, you get to hang with your mates and have fun, do it. Like, who says who's right? So I think the most important thing, the most important message I really want to tell to you guys, or anybody listening or watching, is really, you are your own navigation, your guide, your compass. Like, that's the reason we are here now as individuals, but also as a couple, and we've been able to create the life that we've created, is simply because we're always trying to navigate our compass. And when we get swayed by other people, or it can be sometimes, you come to a place like LA where you speak to some people, oh man, I should have this massive house in Beverly Hills or something, or get a yacht when I'm in the south of France or something like that. But you're like, really? Like, is that important to me? And if that is, go and do it. But you, at the end of the day, you really have to be honest to yourself and ask what is important to you and what will make you happy.
And I will add to that, is like, are you doing it for yourself, or are you doing it to impress others? That's one of the most important questions to ask, questions to answer whenever you're doing anything in life, period.
Do you think that, so the advice around lifestyle, or even there is that school of thought of saying no, not saying yes to everything. It feels like there's a point in your life where you have to say yes a bunch, and you have to, where lifestyle isn't the main factor. So I'm 29 now. Tommy's, what are you, 31. 10 years, we're still going to be really young in 10 years' time. So part of it is, it's like we can do this for then potentially the gain in the future. Do you think that younger people are seeing the lifestyle content and maybe underestimating those times that you guys were working really hard?
100%. I think 100%. I think even as people apply to work with us and we do interviews, it's funny that like, why do you want to work with us? Well, I'm so inspired by your lifestyle. I want to have your lifestyle. I'm like, that's not the reason why you should be working for me. You know, you shouldn't want, like, you know, I understand you can be part of that journey to help you learn from kind of working with us, how you can potentially get there. And the most important bit is to realize is that for our friend also Carl Loco, and a poet, he once told me, you know, he comes from, you know, Brixton in London, now it's more of a becoming more gentrified communities, but before it was like a lot of gang violence and things like that is where he grew up. And he would roll, you know, I met him through Virgin Charity, Big Change Charity. We're on the hike with like billionaires and things like that. And I remember, because we come from similar backgrounds, I remember he told me, he's like, Alex, like, you know, everyone has to climb a mountain. You know, everyone. The billionaires and us. People just get different trails.
We took Runyon this morning.
That's but I'm saying, but even Runyon's, right? Wherever, everyone has to everyone in their life will have to climb some sort of a mountain. People who just they get born, they're on a different trail. You know, our daughter Alexa is on the easier path, but that easier path may have its own kind of different kind of challenges. Some people get the really hardcore trail where you might die, like, and it's really hard to get to the top. And how I'm trying to connect this to is really helping everyone understand is that they have their own journey to go on. And once you understand and stop comparing your journey to other person's journey, and you can just focus on, like, this is my trail. There's no point of me bitching about why am I not on this easy trail and I have this hard one. But you just you understand this is your path, and that you still, like I said, the connection is, as he says, everyone still has to climb a mountain. Everyone's still going towards the same thing. People just have a different path. And you're on a different path, but don't bitch about your path versus the other path. So with a lot of younger people now, they're like, I want to be on the easy path, right? And I just want to be already on top, or or how come I look at Alex and Mimi and they're just traveling all the time? Like, duh, I'm not sharing with you it's boring when I'm standing, you know, here on my made up stand-up desk and just looking to the screen all day. It's not that exciting. I'm like, hey, here I am again, you know, like working. Most of the time when I'm just in the office in London and it's raining, I'm just working. I don't share that. And I think
people get the wrong impression.
And then people say, well, you should share that. Bullshit. Because if I share that all the days when I'm just in my office and working, you're going to turn off. That's not what people are signing up for. People are still, they want the aspirational content. Like, you know, it's funny when people say a message like, I want the realness. No, nobody wants realness. Like, the reason why people, it just... Same thing, why Sapiens is such a great book is it just really outlines human psychology. Like, I remember even in our business, same things, like year over year, you see statistics and you see how, you know, you get, let's say 10,000 visitors and this amount of visitors like buy. And I'm always like curious about that. Like, how come it's always this percentage? And what that really communicates is that we as humans, we're still very predictable. We're fairly basic. And if you if you match certain criteria, this is the result you get. Tweak a certain criteria, you'll get a different result. And that's why it's so important for a lot of everybody, not even young people. It's everybody. Trust me, the young people, I think it's maybe they want it easy. The older people are just thinking they already missed the boat. Everyone has their own excuses and reasons. All I can tell you from my own personal experience is that you have to do what you have to do with the situations you have dealt. Hence my analogy before with the mountain. Just focus on your path and focus on what you got to do. both Mimi and I are from immigrant families. I have, a single mother who, when my father died when I was a teenager, I had my stepfather passed away a year later. There's a lot of messed up things that happen. We're always poor. We're on welfare in the times, all that stuff. And now we get to live this life. People can look at me just one thing and just think, oh, he has it easy. He's probably some trust fund kid, white privilege male, all that stuff. No, I had to go through my own struggles, and I had to do what I had to do to create the life that I have. But the most important thing that I did is not, once again, bitch and complain about my life. And most important thing that I've ever done in my life that I recommend for everybody to do is take responsibility for your own life. Because the moment I took responsibility for my own life, all changed, because I stopped comparing myself to other kids or other people, and I started focusing on my own journey and what I gotta do to get out of the situation that I'm in, right? Whether it be in a relationship, whether it be a financial job, university, whatever you gotta do, and life just becomes easier. It's still hard, but at least you're not wasting your time comparing and wasting your energy on somebody else's life. And I think what a lot of us do nowadays through Instagram, whatever things, is we're living vicariously through other people. Let's say you went on that Positano trip that we kind of maybe inspired you to go to, and we inspire so many people to go to. However, you're gonna have your own experience, and you still have to do it. And even when you go, and even if you do the same things that we told you to do, you will still have your own ideas. You'll also have your experience and an overall feeling that you will have based on your history, all that stuff. And that's the beauty of life, is we're unique individuals, and we have our unique journeys. And I really believe that once you take responsibility for your own journey, that's when life just changes and your mindset begins to expand.
What did you think of the Positano trip?
That was amazing. Yeah, it was great. We went to a lot of the there was one place. It's like the organic. I don't know. It's the place where it's all white.
Casa Bottega.
My girlfriend's very good with all the names and stuff. Yeah. I can travel to places multiple times because I can't remember anything, and so I'm excited. I'm actually excited to go back.
Nice.
That's why we go back every year.
What's a big life question you're both asking yourselves at the moment?
Where should we live next?
Yeah, that's probably at the moment that would be the most important one. But I think we're getting closer to the answer.
Yeah, I think definitely. And I think it's for us, as we talked about before, it's more about the amazing thing of we were big believers as ourselves, is that once you create a vision for how you're going to live your life. So, we do this exercise where we plan out, 3 to 5 years of how our life looks like, from just every day, where we live, who are our friends, what kind of work do we do? We really get really clear. And it's a very important exercise to do, because it will help you really expand your mindset of what is possible and where do you want to go. And it's not like, you're living on the moon, or you're now in this Beverly Hills $100 million mansion. Let's not go crazy. Well, what's within the realm in the next 3 to 5 years for you? And you can still stretch it, not be too realistic. However, once you start doing that, and we've done it a couple of times, and we've realized those things, and you're like, so now the big life question is oh snap, this is real. We can actually manifest and create our reality once we actually also do the work and do the actual stuff behind the vision. But it's we have to be careful. We're actually going to realize this. And so the question now is really what's next, and how, and I highly recommend for people to do this exercise themselves. Without just it's better to have some sort of a vision, some sort of a direction that you're going towards, than no vision at all. And I would say most people have no vision for themselves in the future. They have no goals whatsoever, and they're just kind of haphazardly going through life. And then same thing, they will bitch and complain how the 1%ers are taking over the world and have what they don't have and things like that. It's the wrong focus. The people who are 1% or for 0.1%, whatever that is, and it's not even have to be with financial, but even just living a better life. Because I feel like we should put a lot of emphasis and attention about maybe some great family living out in some neighborhood in Australia who just have great friends and, you know, barbecue on the weekend and just have fun and have loving relationships and hug their kids and just have a good time. Those people are also realizing and living their dream, right? And that can be your vision. Your vision can just be having a normal life, and it's not traveling the world and just, you know, having good friends around you and a good community and, you know, playing basketball on the weekend, whatever that is for you.
Yeah.
And getting clearer to that and refining it as you go will just enable you to create your life. And I think that's the most exciting part about life, and that's why we're here. Is that we're all figuring it out, and we're just taking day by day. And it's truly amazing what we can create once we can have that awareness in our lives towards creating the future and the future self that you have. And we can all redefine ourselves. You know, even looking back on my journey or Mimi's journey, it's like, I'm so grateful that I took those choices,
those risks,
if you need to be able to create what we have now. And it's not like you won't know the picture right away, but it just take it one day at a time and you really realize it.
Well, it feels like there's some universal dreams or aspirations that people have. Tommy and I always talk about, you know, home ownership. I know that for his family, that's a big thing. Bree and I don't have, not planning on having kids. We're a little bit more sort of loose with those sorts of things. Home ownership for you guys, how do you think about it and reconcile it?
Before we even answer that question, same thing. I think it's very important you start questioning all these cultural things. Owning a car, owning a home, going to school even, getting married, like all these things, question everything. Like I think it's very important for individuals to really question why are we doing these things, like getting an engagement ring, you know, getting a diamond ring for whatever, like all these
crazy
things.
You read like on Google, it's like, okay, it needs to be X amount of months to pay. Like it's like it's just crazy.
Who said it?
But most people follow. That's the sad part, right? Like it's like we need a guide to follow. We can't just make our own decisions.
I've been with my girlfriend for 12 years and I just can't work. Like every time I Google about engagement, like it's just so complicated. I just can't do it. I can't work it out.
Get something unique and vintage.
Then I look cheap.
No. I think this is where we have to redefine a lot of the culture, and a lot of the happiness.
It's up to us, right?
And then I'm just same thing. That's why I'm really grateful to have Mimi as my partner, and that we're both open-minded to this degree. Of course, like if you have, you know, a partner who's like, I want a diamond ring, I don't know who that you're questioning about this stuff, because she's bought into the culture, right? And that's what happens to a lot of people. It's like it's and I think it's important to, you know, that's why Matrix was such a great movie and was so popular, is because I think it really subconsciously we all know the truth. You know, we all understand that this is all a game. You know, we understand that this is not forever, and it's not to, you know, get a little too existential or anything, but it's once you're able to redefine life like that, that's when you're able to actually live life on your own terms. Because I think it's just sad that most people, what happens with home ownership, right? So even answer that question. Why I'm so grateful we didn't buy into that false dream. It's not like we're gonna not own a home forever. But the whole idea of home ownership and mortgages and all that stuff and this true American dream is to just tie you down. What you realize once you start being a global citizen is that each country, you're a cog in the machine. You're a resource.
Is it fake safety? Because I guess like a lot of people, the narrative is...
it's your fake safety. It's not safety at all.
No.
It's like, I think you touched on something very important. Everyone's scared. I'm scared. The underlying thing is fear, right? And society will want to try to make you, how can they make you feel safe to a certain degree to sell you on something, right? A lot of marketing is fear-based, right? it's easier to sell somebody on losing something versus gaining something.
We've got like 4 levels of travel insurance. Like when we got the car rental car, they're like, oh, do you have what was the one they were getting us on?
Oh, the state.
Yeah, there was some insurance. Like if we hit someone, like we'll cover that car.
Liability.
Yeah, we didn't have that one.
I skip all those. I just have my Amex Platinum and they take care of that. I trust them. So what I'm trying to say, even with this example, is that of even home ownership, is that for us, because we, like this is the vicious cycle that most people get into. You go to school, especially if you have to pay for school, right? If I'm not talking about you living in Scandinavia and getting paid to go to school, do that. I'll do that for sure. Yeah. Right. But if you are here in the stateside, you have to go to school, you have to take out loans and debt wherever you are, whether you go in state, out of state, in province, out of province, and you're going to get 50, 100,000 worth of debt just because when you just step into the workforce, I don't think that's a smart move. You're already starting losing, right? And then the same thing when you do, when you get a house, there's certain fixed costs that come in with buying a property, right? And and those fixed costs is like your overhead. You're gonna have that forever. So you can definitely make money on real estate, but it's gonna take you at least 5 to 10 years if everything goes well for you to do that. And a lot of people speaking back and connecting to that fear. A lot of people have that fear of, well, if I'm just renting, I'm just throwing money away.
Is it rent money's dent money or
dead money?
Dead money.
Yeah, rent money is dead money. So for us, the way we think about it is like, number one, for renting, you're getting experience, you're figuring yourself out. So before, for example, I know that once we have a home or once we buy a home, we were like, real estate agents don't like us. And the reason they don't like us, because we're so certain. So if we're looking for a property even now to rent or buy, we're like, it's this street, this side of the street, these houses, right? And they're like, well, we already know. Right, because the reason we already know is because we've had so many experiences. We've moved
through renting.
Through renting. We moved almost every year, and not a lot of people wouldn't want to do that, right? Yeah. We moved almost every year, like for the last 7 years, and it's not fun for a lot of people, and for us by nature we're very adventurous. That's why we can travel, and even now we're in LA for like 7 weeks, right? Like. But we're able to do that because we have the way we design our life and the freedom that we have. And as Mimi said in the interview earlier, which is so important, what are your top values? If safety is your top value, then maybe home is the right thing for you, because you're like, I don't care to discover it myself and figure. I know this is like the neighborhood where my parents grew up, and this feels safe to me, and this is where I want to be. We met somebody today, a lady. She's like, I was in this neighborhood when I was 6 years old. She's 70 now. She's like, I love it. It's where I grew up, and my kids grew up, and she's great. That's cool for her. For us, another value of ours is really being able to have different choice, having variety in our lives. We like to have new experiences, and because that is a bigger value to us it's better to pay rent, because it offers us more of an experience
and flexibility,
another value, flexibility. So to really summarize everything that we're trying to say is, after this podcast, define your values. Like, really sit down and think about, like, what is important to me? Maybe it is safety. Maybe it is variety. Maybe it's, whatever you think of what your values are. If you don't know what values are, Google it. And then mark the ones. Look at some inspiration. Mark the one that speaks to you. And once you align to your values, you're able to make better choices. So with home ownership or renting, I'm really glad we didn't buy a home, and we didn't.
We've owned a home in Toronto, but then we sold it because we don't care about it, and we moved to England, so we didn't want the hassle of renting it out, having to worry about the tenants. But something I'll add to the home ownership and just ownership of any type of material goods, something that I've always been aware of. Not sure where this wisdom comes from, maybe past life, maybe this life, but just realizing that you're not here forever on planet Earth. Anything you own here, you don't really own. You're still just renting. Okay? Even if you have that paper that says you own it, you're not here forever. If you're lucky, you're here for 100 plus years, maybe with new technology, a little longer. but you don't own anything. So just accept that, realize that, and then go back to the values. Like for me, like I don't really own anything. So like I'd rather use that money to have, like Alex said, more variety and more freedom. And if one day it makes more sense to own, there's nothing wrong with owning, but don't be sold the wrong idea.
Yeah.
Where does luck fit into the equation, or it doesn't for you guys?
I think there's serendipity. I like that word more than luck. Like being at the right time at the right place.
It's a preparation and opportunity.
And being prepared, you know, but there's definitely a certain level of like things coming together. Yeah. And I think that definitely played a role in our lives. But without the hard work and persistence, none of it is going to work. So what's more important?
I think, to add on to that is luck is major. And like I said, serendipity is a better word. Definitely, I agree with that. And however, I really believe you make your own luck.
Exactly.
And what I mean by that is...
Or you have to see that it's around you. Most people don't see it. Like opportunities come to them. Even maybe you're single and this girl is like a friend of yours, but like you don't see that this could be a potential girlfriend. So it's up to you to see the serendipity, the luck that you already do have in your life, and that connects to gratitude, like being grateful for what you already have rather than constantly wanting some new things in your life.
What's been the most serendipitous moment for you, Mimi?
Oh my God, so many, but like one that stands out the most was years ago before even we moved to London, I tweeted something about my favorite author, Paulo Coelho. Like I grew up reading his books. Have you read any of his books?
Yeah, I know the author.
So Alchemist was like my Bible, you know, like I love that book because it talks about that adventure and like believing in something bigger than yourself and following your heart and following your dreams. So to me, he was like the biggest inspiration. And then he had a new book. I tweeted about it and then he tweeted me back. And then he gave me his Skype. We like chatted on Skype and he said, when you move to Europe, because we were in the process of moving to London then, he said, just like come and visit me. And we did, and we had like dinner at his house. Like I met him in person. That was like the coolest thing that like just serendipitously happened over the internet, and like now we're friends, you know. Never thought, I mean, that was the dream. So like that happening to me shows that there's definitely something magical out there in the universe that we don't know about, but it's there.
Yeah, I definitely think the searching, having that lens on to find the things and connect the dots is important. Like we bumped into, I was like, I want a coffee before this. And I went into Bluestone Lane and I bumped into a YouTuber who I've been following for years. And
which one?
Jesse. He rides the,
the
magic carpet through New York. And I was thinking, I actually was in my messages sending him a message yesterday. And I was like, I won't send it. And then I bumped into him and I went up and we were chatting. And so he's going to come on the podcast at some point. But you know, we've created this opportunity to come to you and be in this place.
We still made it.
And that happens, but I'm always looking for that kind of stuff to happen.
And I think you still make it. Like that's why I said you make your own luck to a certain degree. Is you have to show up. Yeah. You know, it's like I always love that anecdote of like, you know, this guy kind of waited his whole life or it was either to win the lottery or something like that, and he gets to heaven and he's like, God, like I've wished for, you know, to become rich and win the lottery. He's like, you didn't even buy the ticket. You know, so it's like the same thing. It's like I can't like God or universe or whatever magical power you believe in, it won't do anything for you. That's why with a lot of this, you know, secrets, like a lot of people may look at us and think, or like vision, we talk about creating your vision or creating your vision boards, setting goals, all that stuff.
But that's that's just
those step number one.
Those are just exercises to really make your mindset, like change up your mindset and create just your vision, work on that. So you're exercising, you're like, what can I do? What can I create? And then you have to follow through with the actual work to get there and figure out, okay, this is my vision. This is where I want to go. How do I get there? You then reverse engineer to how you're going to get to that place. But setting the vision is just step one. And then step 2, step 3, step 4 is the follow through.
I was thinking this podcast that we do it's a serendipity machine because we show up daily and we create and the amount of opportunities that's come from taking the action daily has been amazing. I know you've got the 5-minute journal, which that's a everyday practice. What's something for you guys that you've, other than that, because I'm sure each day you're spending that, what's one practice that you implement daily that has made massive change for you?
For me, I would definitely have to say it's meditation. It's just in the world that we live in now, there's just so much information, there's so much input, right? So you just have to find time to just sit still and be calm without any interruption.
That's what meditation is. It's not
really, it doesn't matter what you practice. There's so many apps out there. I mean, I do Vipassana meditation, but there's...
I saw Paramahansa Yogananda.
I'm reading that book right now.
But serendipity. Look, this house that we rented, it's cool that they have... And it happens to us a lot of times, based off that we pick houses where they have a lot of, they're into the same stuff we're into. It's not like we bought it with us, it was here. I would have Bhagavad Gita and stuff like that. So
my mum's guru is Paramahansa Yogananda. She's a yoga meditation teacher. And so I saw that as soon as I walked in.
But I think the same thing, the reason you noticed that book is because you're aware of it.
Oh yeah,
and this is why
my son would know. He calls him Yoga Manda. That's what my 2.5-year Yoga Manda.
But this just communicates how important it is to work, and this is what meditation will also help you to work on that awareness of certain things. And this is why it's important of that awareness, what content you consume, how you think about your life, your thoughts, your words, like all this shapes your life. This is why we've created the 5-minute journal. We created the 5-minute journal for ourselves because we understand that if you frame your, the way the 5-minute journal works is that you start off, I'm grateful for, you talk about your gratitude. So you're already framing your day and you're starting out with feeling good. You're already starting with what you have, what you appreciate. I'm grateful for, right? I'm grateful to wake up. I'm grateful to wake up next to a beautiful woman by the name of Mimi next to my bed. I'm grateful to go to work today. And then the next question is, we'll make today great. And then that second question, you're framing and you're envisioning what's gonna be good about your day. And most people, they're not framing their day of like, what's great gonna happen to me. They don't even believe in that.
How bad's the traffic going to be?
Yeah, exactly. So it's your intentions, your expectations, and then the last one is like your affirmation. I am. And that's a very powerful thing. Once you actually start reinstating the affirmation of who you are and creating that image of yourself, you're communicating to your inner navigation system, like, this is where you need to go. And same thing with the reason I bring this up, if you would be somebody, like, there's a lot of people that come through this house, not everybody sees the Yogananda book. You saw it because you're aware of it, and that is something that you can now see. And that's why we always communicate to people how important it is to practice gratitude. And so if you to answer your question, one practice and habit that I've created, even without using the 5-minute journal, and this is what I did before the 5-minute journal, is just simply, as soon as you wake up, think of one thing that you're grateful for. And gratitude helps you. It's actually scientifically proven how it shifts your vibrations. There's also a thing called Heart Math Institute. You can look into it. But it's legit. Like, your heart rate variability will change when you are feeling grateful. And if you start out your day in that way, you will start to also shift your reality. So with that, I test so much of what we have in our lives is simply because we're grateful for it. And the way, if you want to also connect spirituality and all that stuff, it'll just be simple. For the people in your lives, for the friends or even your family, if you have somebody in your life that's ungrateful, do you want to do things for them?
Or be around them?
No. However, when you have somebody around you who is grateful, who is appreciative, like, isn't that a person you want to?
It's attractive.
You want to give, and you also want to give more. Somebody gives you something as appreciative of something. You're like, hey, I right away we have this reaction to want to give practice reciprocity and give something back to them. And same thing, whatever you want to call it, God, universe, it just likes gratitude. It likes grateful people, and it's like, why would I give these things to people who don't appreciate and keep complaining and bitching, right? Versus this person, Alex, let's say, who's always grateful and he has nothing, but he's so happy. And he's being appreciative even for the little things that we have. Why don't we give that person more, right? And this is just really how the world works. And is that
also known as law of attraction?
Yeah, and I really believe
you
that
attract where you focus
even
on,
with relationships, and at the same time, like I said, friendships, romantic relationships, anything else, is to bring that same energy. If we are appreciative and grateful for the people around us, and we also appreciate it for the things that they do. Same with our employees and all that stuff.
Our children.
It will bring out more of that. It will bring out more of the good. They want to do more good.
Yeah.
And this is why, to me, this is one of the, there's a lot of talk about gratitude. And this, however, it takes practice. It's an exercise.
Yeah, it's not about
muscle.
talking about it.
Yeah.
It's about doing it every day.
And it really takes time. This is why I recommend for anybody, like I said, you don't have to buy the 5-minute journal. If you do, it's great. It's pretty. It makes the habit a lot easier to do. However, you can do it. Like I said, if you can train your mind to do that, that'll be incredible. It's just not all of us have that willpower to be able to do that. But if there's one habit that I've trained myself to do is simply just be grateful. First thing in the morning, say your day, and then the rest will take care of itself.
Well, we're so grateful that you've spent so much time with us. And
we went way over. Mimi wasn't supposed to be here.
I'm grateful Mimi let us in because we got here and you didn't tell it, mate.
But no, I think
surprise.
I think influencers, all that sort of stuff, get it has a certain sort of connotation to it or a certain vibe, and I think that you guys are an example of using platforms to be of service. And I think that the life that you can simplify it in the lifestyle stuff, but what you're doing is you're showing your experiences and opening up possibilities for other people, and I think that that's an amazing service and something we really appreciate.
Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah,
awesome.
It means a lot.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming by, for making this impromptu, serendipitous podcast. But it's been a true pleasure having you guys over as well. And we just also really appreciate the time, and most importantly, your effort, right, to put in that seed to make it happen. Because the same thing, it's not like you guys have a massive following, but you keep pushing at it, and you're able to have these opportunities happen more and more because you show up. So anybody listening or watching right now, because this is being recorded, so you can check out this video on your guys' channel, is that it's truly about just showing up and being grateful for showing up every day.
Absolutely.
And thank you guys for showing up.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks,
Thank
Mimi.
you.
It's a daily talk show. If you've enjoyed the show, feel free to share it on Instagram. You can do the old screen grab thing and tag us up, or you can even take a photo of where you're listening, because that's always pretty fun too. hi@thedailytalkshow.com is the email address if you want to send us an email. Otherwise, see you tomorrow, guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.